Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so glad you can make it today. So, today I'm going to talk about how do cookies rise when they're being baked in the oven. Well, before I go and answer that question, I want everyone to know the ingredients that we need to make chocolate chip cookies. Yay! So, of course, we're going to need sugar. We have white sugar and brown sugar. We have 2 large eggs. We have vegetable oil, flour, vanilla extract. We have the baking soda, salt, and of course, chocolate chips. So each ingredient has a function within the cookie that makes the cookie taste so delicious, makes it so plump, and gives it that brown color to it, right? But we're not going to talk about each and every ingredient and the function that it has in the cookie. We're going to talk about 3 ingredients that helps the cookie rise while it's being baked. Our first ingredient we're going to talk about is our Arm & Hammer pure baking soda. You don't have to use this brand. You can use any brand of baking soda to get the cookie to rise as long as it says baking soda and it has the cookies on it. If you get the baking soda that goes in the fridge, it's not going to taste the same because it has a fragrance in it. So be sure to pay attention what baking soda you're getting. Okay, great. So with the baking soda, technical name is called sodium bicarbonate, but nerd alert, but the function with the baking soda is to help the cookie rise. Now, when the baking soda is in the dough and it's in the oven, it starts to evaporate carbon dioxide gas and water. Now, because carbon dioxide is a really powerful gas, it can make bubbles in it. Awesome, right? But that can be a bad thing if it doesn't have another ingredient to help stabilize it. And that's when our salt comes into play. You can use any kind of salt as long as you follow the instructions on how many teaspoons or to put in the cookie. Don't put too much, don't put too little. So our table salt helps stabilizes our baking soda because the baking soda can make big bubbles, like I said before, and it can cause the cookie to explode in your oven. And we don't want that. So that's where our handy dandy salt comes into play. And then our last ingredient that is like the top thing that we need in any type of baking ingredient recipe is our egg. Our egg not only gives it moisture, flavor, but it also helps support the bubbles in the cookie when it comes to the baking soda and the salt. Now, a particular part of the egg does that, and that is the albumin of the egg, and that is the egg whites. It has the protein and it has water in it. Those are the main ingredients of the egg whites. So when you put the egg white with the baking soda and the salt and the rest of the ingredients in the oven, you have this nice moist cookie, and everything balances out to make the cookie rise. So that's how the cookie rises, with baking soda, salt, and our egg.
So as Lene has already described, there's going to be some ingredients that we've singled out as being super important for causing the cookie to rise. So those ingredients were the salt, the egg, and the baking soda. So we're going to try and make different cookies, but in some of the cookie recipes, we're going to leave out the salt or the egg or the baking soda, and then we're going to bake them and see if they're still able to rise. And then we're also going to make a batch of cookies following the recipe exactly, so we can see the difference between the cookies that aren't following the recipe and don't have the ingredients that we need to rise, and versus the cookie that is following the recipe. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to begin to bake cookies and add in all the ingredients that we need. So I'm adding softened butter into a bowl, and in one bowl I'm going to make the correct version of the cookies, and then in the other bowl I'm going to leave out one of the eggs. Okay, so like I said, we're just going to go ahead and follow the original recipe at first, and so this is pretty much going to give us our control cookie. So I'm going to go ahead and blend together the sugar and the butter. And don't look closely at this too much, or else you're not going to want to eat cookies again once you realize how much sugar and butter are in them. Right, so now all the cookie dough is made, and this right here is just regular cookie dough with all of the ingredients in. So this is going to be our control cookie. And then this is a cookie with all of the other ingredients except no salt. And then this cookie has everything in it, but it's missing the baking soda. And then this cookie, as you can see, is very dry, and that's because it is missing the egg. Okay, so I've put all of the cookies on a pan, so we can go ahead and get started with baking them. So this is the regular cookie with all of the ingredients added in. This is the cookie that is missing the baking soda. This is the cookie that's missing the salt. And this poor lump is the cookie that is missing the egg. So the cookies are pretty much ready to go in the oven. I have the oven preheating at 375, and I'm just gonna pop these in for 8 to 10 minutes. So as you watch this video, you can see a few things that are going to begin to happen as the cookie is baked. The first thing is that the cookies are going to begin to flatten out, and that is because the butter inside the cookie is beginning to melt. The next thing that's going to happen is once the cookie gets hot enough, the water that's inside the cookie from the egg is going to begin to evaporate and push up through the cookie, and that's going to cause the bubbles in the air pockets pushing up. But that's not going to happen in the cookie without the egg. And then the next thing that's going to happen in the cookies that have the baking soda is that the baking soda is going to break down, and then it's going to transform into carbon dioxide, and then that is going to leave pockets of air inside the cookie.